Hey folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. It is Saturday, February 5th, 2022. And we just got through with the big winter blast that we had. And we got 6 inches of snow, and today is the first day we've been above freezing. So it's 44 degrees right now. And we got 6 inches of snow, and man, we really needed the moisture. So I thought I'd just walk around and do a quick homestead update and just kind of show you what's going on with the pretty snow background. So some of the things that I did during the break from working on bees, up here in all of these beds I ran drip line for watering. Up here by the tornado bunker, all of that, it has half-inch line in there, and it has an emitter every 12 inches. So let's see if I can find some of it. And each one of these beds has its own shut-off valve, so we can water individual ones or split it up. So there you can see it's that brown half-inch drip system tubing. So each one of these has that in there. Down there, and this one right here. So I ran this for about 2.5 hours and pulled my cistern down over halfway, so that probably about 1,200 gallons I put in there, and it still was pretty dry because it is so dry here. We're in drought conditions. But I hooked it up right here on this spigot. You can see the line sticking up there, so that's what I'm going to run it off of. And I can put a timer on that if I want, so it'll kick on, you know, and water it throughout the summer. Let's get up here and put a little bit of bird feed out. I like to feed the birds when it's really cold out like this and there's a lot of snow. Help them out a little bit. You can see the snow's pretty much melting now. We got some drifts. So in here I've got whole kernel corn, black sunflower seeds, and then just a regular bird seed mix. It's kind of about the same thing I give my chickens for scratch. So I like to feed the squirrels as well, because good healthy squirrels make lots of baby squirrels, and that's food for the bobcats, and bobcats make great wildlife videos. So I don't mind feeding the squirrels at all. Boy, it is windy out here today. So I put in another drip system up here. So this is on the south end of my place, and I hooked it into this faucet right here. But all of these little cypress trees, I have an emitter on all of those, and then it goes on out towards the road, and all of these crepe myrtles up here, each one of those has one as well. So that up on top of that hill, that is the worst soil up there. It's like this clay stuff, and grass won't even grow up in that area. It's just bare dirt. Weeds won't even grow. But this will get regular water on those cypress trees. And that there's an ash tree. So we planted that in memory of our daughter Ashley. So that's there for her. And it's doing pretty good. So there's one on that as well. So we took down our big elm tree over here. Walk over there. So this was a big old elm that you could see it in all my sunset videos when I showed them out of the top story on the house, out of the dormer up there. That's where I'll put my camera, right there, looking west. So yeah, we took that tree out. It was dead, died from Dutch elm disease, and I left the trunk there like that because I think I might do something with it. Thought I might carve it into a chair, I looked at hiring someone to see, make it something to, you know, cool. But the thing is, that's 3 trees grown together, so it's not a real nice piece of wood down in there. Once you get down cutting into it, it's going to fall apart, I'm guessing. Wife mentioned she wanted to make a fairy house. I don't know what that means, but I think she wants to cut a hole in it and put a little place to put like a garden gnome or something. I don't know. We'll see. If you got any ideas, yeah, put them down in the comments below. There's the beehives down there. We'll get down there in a second and take a look at those. So another thing that we did before my wife got hurt, and I did some after she did to finish it off, but we've got, I think it's 2,300 tulip and daffodil bulbs planted along here. So they start about right down in there on the other side of those trees, on the side of that berm, and they go all the way along the drive about where those flags are, and there's a few past there. So it's going to be real interesting to see how those all turn out. That last batch that we put out, they were starting to come out of the bulb a little bit, so they're all there under that snow right now. But we already had some tulips and daffodils in this area right here, but that's going to add a whole lot to them. It's going to be really pretty. But while I'm up here by the house, so I did finish when we had good weather back in December. I finished filling this in with wood chips, so there's no more bare dirt in here now. And that's really good for weed suppression, and it conditions the soil. We dug up all the dahlias, and we were getting them ready to preserve, and that's about the time Barbara fell and hurt her hand. So they got left out, and they dried out, so I don't think the dahlias are any good. And the elephant ears, maybe, I don't know. But they're down there in that barn on the countertop in that apartment. The front flowers, everything's covered with snow, which we needed it. Man, we had some really high winds. It actually blew the wood chips out of this spot here and lifted up that landscape fabric there. That was some strong wind. That same day that happened, we had a big cedar tree get blown over. So that's all that's left of that cedar right now, is that little piece sticking up to the left. There was a piece that went up and to the right, and north wind just knocked it over. We had like 60-mile-an-hour wind one day. That's Oklahoma. One day it'll be 70, then we'll have a 60-mile-an-hour wind, and the next day it'll be 20, and then it might be below 0. Let's get on down. I'll show you what I got composting, and we'll swing by the chickens in the garden and then go check out the bees. So if you follow my whole water well cistern saga, that is all installed and working. It's working good. Cistern's down in here, and I've got it's called a PT level. It tells me the level of the water down in there, and it's hooked to a Wi-Fi. And I've got a router right up here in the window that it connects to, so it tells me the level of my cistern tank. So my well puts out about 150 gallons a day, so I can't water straight out of that well, so I have to save up the water. I'll give you a screenshot of that level thing, and you can see each day how it steps up 150 gallons till it fills up. And the well is down here over the hill, just south of the chickens down there. So down here by the compost area, it looks like a muddy mess. I don't know if I want to walk there or not. So there's the big log from that cedar tree. And right in here, you can probably see some of the straw. But I've got a chicken coop clean out. I dug this pit out right here, and I burned all the sticks from that big elm tree. The sticks that I didn't run through the chipper. and I threw a bunch of logs on there as well. So I got that all going, making a big huge bed of coals, and then I doused it out with water. So I got all that charcoal in there, and then I threw the coop clean out on top of it. So it's going to be composting and absorbing all that nitrogen from the chicken manure into that charcoal. So it's going to be a biochar. So I'm going to use that to put on that garden space over there. And you can see some green there. That's a winter rye, and I also planted some tillage radish in there to help loosen that soil up, because that's not the best soil. And under that plastic is winter greens. I had lettuce and choy in there and feeding the chickens. Most of it's gone now. I've used most of it up. A lot of it went bad. So it was so warm in December that there was a outbreak of bugs in there, and the bugs ate it all up. So I probably got a third of the harvest out of that I wanted, because it was just full of these little brown mealy bugs. I don't know what they were, but guy didn't spray anything in there. But around here we've got some wood chips going on. So this pile on the right is the wood chips from the big cedar that I showed you, that big trunk there, and then this pile is from the big elm. So there's probably 2 tractor loads in each one of those piles that I can use. I've also signed up for a chip drop program, and where you can donate money to an arborist, and they'll come drop their big truck of chips on your place, and you can use that for compost. And I designated the spot right there with those flags for them to dump it. So there's a picture of that on their website, and a little donation for them if they show up. And hopefully that'll work out. I think it's called Chip Drop. It's an app, and you just download it, and I think it's in all the major cities. So we'll see how that goes. This here is a dirt compost. It's mostly done. So that's been composted of dirt, leaves, just about everything, garden. So that pile will be 3 years old this year. So that's ready to go on the garden, I believe, for the most part. There's probably a few clay chunks in there, but I'm trying to get most of them out. And this big long pile here is leaf litter. I went and collected all that with my sweeper and swept all that up, and made probably 25-30 trips with my little lawnmower back over in the trees where I started the video. Got a lot of oak leaves, piled it all up in there, and I put dirt from this pile on top of it, to hold it down, to keep the leaves from all blowing away. And so you can see some of the leaves right there sticking out, but I will be using that as well to go on that garden over there. And then this is the latest pile. That's just whatever from the garden. So that's the newest start of compost right there. So walk over here by the garden real quick. This is the big flat ground level garden. So we have the raised bed garden back over here. But I wanted to start, a bigger garden that I could make some nice long rows, not be so crowded. This is where we want a tomato trellis. And you can see that winter rye. And I also have that same drip system in here. So they're about every foot apart. And those are the 12-inch spaced as well. And that's hooked up to my cistern, and I can water that. And they run underneath that tunnel there as well. So in the spring, I'll cover this up. I'm going to tarp it. I'll put a black tarp over this, and it will sprout any weed seed, and the black tarp, because there's no sun, the weed seed will die. So that'll sterilize this. And then once I get that killed out and dead, I will cover this with cardboard. Well, I'll pull all the irrigation out of there. I'll cover it with cardboard, and then I'll start putting all that compost that you just saw on top of that cardboard to hold it down, and start doing kind of a back to Eden style garden in here. One thing that concerns me about is I got all these cedars here right next to it, so I've got a feeling there's a lot of cedar roots working their way over into here. But I have tilled this 3 or 4 times, but I'm going to quit tilling it this year and just start doing a composting style wood chip covering for a transplant type garden. Yeah, so I locked these girls up for a couple days when it was down around 6 and 8 degrees at night, and I just shut their door, and I had a heat lamp in there, and they have a heated water in there to keep their water from freezing. But they don't like walking in that snow much, but I'm surprised they're over here. They probably think I'm going to give them some food, which I will. So right in here we've got garlic. So this is, I think it's Misc variety garlic. But there's 20 of those in here. So in the springtime we ought to have us a nice garlic harvest. And the rest of this has all been cleaned out. So this spring, I was talking to the wife about, we like those Kentucky Wonder pole beans really well, and we had them on that back trellis growing up. So we're thinking this year we're not even going to plant bush green beans. We're just going to do those Kentucky Wonders and plant them down this row instead of putting tomatoes in here, because we normally have tomatoes in these 2 beds. And we're going to get some cow panels and run over and make an arch and let those Kentucky pole beans just vine up and over. So you'll be able to walk underneath this and just reach up and harvest the beans. And they make good beans all year long. But spring and fall, they put on the most. But man, they're really good. I really like that variety. And we've got some strawberries still hanging on here. And I have that same drip system running all through this garden. On the fruit trees, I'm hoping this year to have some fruit for a change. These little trees here, I think they're 7 years old. The dirt out here is really poor. So I had been fertilizing them and watering them by hand, but this year I've got the drip system on them as well. You can see one of the little emitters right there. So I can run this thing for 20 minutes and fill up the whole bottom around those trees, soaked with water, really good. So I'm going to get me some organic fruit tree fertilizer and get on there, because I don't have to worry about them drying out now. And hopefully we'll get some apples, pears, cherries, peaches, and apricot. And here's where I have that drip system going. It's one side goes to the garden and the other side goes to the trees, and I just turn on whichever one I want and hook it up and use a timer. The Chicken Fortress of Solitude has worked great. We have not had any predator issues. It's got the electric fence down here and electric fence at the top, and it also has the net for the hawk all the way around, so no aerial attacks, no coyotes, bobcats, foxes. And there's my solar charger there. The chicken fodder feeder worked well last year. It's got yellow clover in it, or white clover, I don't know. There's clover in it. Chickens walk out on there and they keep it mowed down. But it's got a wire across there so they can't dig it, they can't eat it down to the root and kill it. And then they poop on it, and that fertilizes it. I just spray water in there as much as I can, keep it nice and wet. The brooders worked out good last year. And this was kind of the sick infirmary here, because we did have some sick chickens. Don't ever buy chickens from an individual unless you know they've got good healthy chickens, because we brought in 5 chickens and brought in disease, and all of our chickens got sick, and we lost probably 10 or so. But the chickens we got from Murray McMurray, they're all doing well. We did lose some of those white Americanas, like that one right there. They're not as hardy a bird. It seemed like we've lost almost all of those. And I've got one in the garage right now that I've had in there for quite a while, nursing her, and she's doing good now. I was telling you earlier that I mix up my own scratch. So I do buy scratch, but then I add to it the black sunflower and corn, and it makes it a lot hardier mixture for when it's cold. It helps the chicken stay warmer. And they really like it. All the young ones are starting to lay pretty good now. Let's go over there and see what we got for eggs. Real quick, let's take a look inside. I'll show you inside the coop. So this is their protein pellets. This is 16% protein for layers. And there's that heated waterer. You can see I got it plugged in there. And I just got a regular waterer over there. But it stays warm enough in here at night with that heat lamp right there that it won't freeze in here. And but the 2 nights it got really cold, the water on the far side, it did freeze up. So it did get to freezing down in here. But there's all the 4 laying boxes and the roosts. You see how I kind of got those laid out there. So we just scoop all this straw and the chicken poop right out that side door right there, right into the wheelbarrow. Yeah, so this coop, you don't have to go inside to get your eggs. The nesting box is attached on the side here. It's pretty handy. So it's getting muddy and the eggs are kind of dirty. So we've got brown, blue, and green, and one chicken lays a white egg. Here's the one white one. So that's 4. And then we had one busted here. 5, 6, 7. So you can see the difference between a new pullet egg and a full-grown chicken egg. They're just now getting going. I lost count. What was that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we get anywhere from 7 to 13, 14 a day. But most of them are small like this. So they're getting going. In a month or so, these will be full-sized. So hopefully I don't forget these in my pocket. I usually do. Okay, let's go make a quick walk by the beehives and check them out and see how they're doing. Okay, here's the bees. That board there is to block the north wind off of this small hive. That's a single deep hive there. And that's got my Wildflower Meadows queen in there from California. So that board up there helps keep the north wind off of them, keep them a little warmer. And I also have a wrap on there, some bubble wrap insulation, help them keep a little warmer. When I checked it for weight, it's got good weight, so they got plenty to eat in there. So as long as their population's good, they're good to go. So this time of year, you'll normally see a few dead bees out front, and that's perfectly normal. Once it warms up enough for the bees to start flying out here on the snow, you'll see dead bees laying everywhere because they'll be cleaning out the hives from the bees that have died over this part of time that they couldn't get out. This hive here, it's 26 and 27 combined. So 27 was right there. That's the hive that I put a lot of sugar on it there before all this cold hit, because there's no weight to it. So there's a population of bees in there and there's no honey. There's not enough for them to eat. So I've got some sugar on that, and I did that to 2. There's a bee flying right there. So bees will come out and fly when there's snow on the ground. It's probably about 45 degrees right now. So I'm also checking along here for tracks to see if there's any skunks coming up here and getting the bees. I don't see any. I just saw a little possum take off down there, which is odd to see one in the daytime. He's probably out looking for something to eat because he's been holed up while it was so cold. And you want to make sure you don't have any snow on the fronts of your hives so they can get good ventilation. I did walk by here yesterday, and all these hives facing to the east there, those ones right there, they all had snow out on covering the entrance, so I opened that up for them. But every hive that we went into winter with is still viable. They're still good. There's still flight. Let's see. Number 14 is the other one we fed. It was very light. That one right there. I can pick that hive up on the back side with 2 fingers. That's how light it is. And some of these are really packed and heavy, which is good. So far we have not had any skunk issues on the bees, and I haven't had to put my fence up. And I don't elevate my hives any higher than they are now because they get too tall. A lot of people just say, well, raise your hive up higher. No, they get too tall when you put 2 and 3 supers on those. That last super on top, it's pretty much, and when it's heavy, it's very hard to get off of there. So that's why I don't raise them up any higher than they are right now. So that's it. Probably a long video, so I'll put some chapters in here. Hopefully, I haven't done that before. I'll try and learn how to do that so the beekeepers can zip right to the bees and see what they want to see. So I'll just close this out. I'll walk down here where I have one of the game cameras and you can see that log, and maybe I'll end it with some shot I got on that log. So give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and we will catch you on the next homestead update. Y'all take care.